Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Golf Unfiltered mini-series, Memoirs from Magnolia Lane. My name is Nikki Dunnigan, and I'm so glad that you are here. We are once again celebrating the first men's major of the year, clearly my favorite major of the year, by bringing you stories and traditions surrounding this sacred tournament from the patron point of view. Just a quick little reminder that I always have to throw out there. This podcast is no way affiliated with, nor are we sponsored by Augusta National Golf Club, the Masters Tournament, or any of its affiliates. Just throwing that out there as a reminder before I introduce you to today's guest, who I am so excited for you to meet. If you haven't seen him crafting cocktails behind the bar on Bachelor in Paradise, you might have seen him as the host of Best in Dough on Hulu, or maybe you've heard him over on his own podcast called Your Favorite Thing with co-host Brandy Cyrus. Or maybe you've even seen him out on the course playing the LPGA Tournament of Champions. He is the funny and talented Wells Adams. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. That was a really good intro. I've done a lot of these, and that might have been the best one. So,
why, thank you.
Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I always like to touch on too the fact that you're not just a golf fan, but you're actually out there playing golf yourself too.
Yeah. So I grew up. It's funny because this is all about Augusta, but I grew up what I consider to be the golf mecca of America, which is not Augusta, Georgia, but
No.
Monterey, Carmel, Pebble Beach area.
Yeah.
So yeah, like golf's been I've been kind of surrounded by golf my entire life. We grew up on the oldest golf course west of the Mississippi, a golf course called Old Del Monte, which is still there. It's actually owned by the Pebble Beach Company now. And I grew up on the corner of 9 and 10. And so, all these, for people that don't know, like really old golf courses and link style courses, there is no like, we get back 9 ends at the clubhouse, then you kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Old style courses, you went out and then you came back in. Like Pebble, you go the furthest reaches of the course is the end of 9 and 10, and then you come back. And same with the course I grew up on. So there was no like snack shack.
Right. You grab a hot dog at the turn and yeah.
Yeah. So we would sell golf balls that would land in our yard and sell like lemonade and Tang and beer when people wanted it. And then my father would he would bribe the marshal every month with a bottle of wine. So he wouldn't give us crap about doing twilight rounds. And we used to have this bench that looked a bench with binoculars that looked down to two, or like one hole and then two tee box. And if no one was coming up one or on two, we'd jump over to 3 and play the front and come back. And if someone was coming up 2, we'd look up 9, which is a great par 5. And if no one was coming down 9, we'd jump on 10 and play the back. And then once we'd get to like 17, jump over to 2 and then come back around. We had like a whole system. So I kind of grew up playing a lot of golf, a lot of twilight rounds. And that's how I'm affiliated. But yeah, what you were saying was I actually play in tournaments. Yeah, so I play in the LPGA Tournament Champions, which is at Lake Nona. And it's like you have to have won a tournament the prior year for the LPGA players to play. So it like really is like their kind of like FedEx Cup or whatever. And that's really fun and hard because like we have to play alongside them for 4 days. There is no cut. There's money involved for the celebrities. And then I also play in a Champions Tour event, which is the same thing, modified Stableford, where we play at Las Colinas, which is coming up actually in April. And that's a really, really fun event, like getting to play alongside the guys that like I watched growing up, like Darren Clark and John Daly and Freddie Couples is like amazing and also like terrifying. So yeah, I've been playing a bunch of those pro-ams and I've learned a lot about my game, and I have a newfound respect for like professional golfers because it's a whole different level of anxiety when there's patrons and cameras and all that.
I actually just went to Las Colinas for the first time. Randomly, my flight got stranded out of the Dallas airport, and
Mhm.
so I that was the only hotel that was left. I was like, sure, yeah, I'll stay at this golf resort. It was great, but I got to kind of walk around the course for a little bit. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, they
Um,
used to play. Is it Byron Nelson? They used to play there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think they moved it to what TPC Craig Ranch or something now.
yeah.
It's not there anymore, but which is weird because the whole place is like a shrine to Byron
Hmm.
Nelson, and so yeah. But it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a fun course, and come hang out with us. It's going to be coming up in middle of April. So if you're in Dallas, just come out there and hang. It's a lot of fun. Great
Yeah.
course, beautiful course.
Well, and you talked about kind of growing up playing golf, and
Yeah,
when after you had gone to the Masters last year, you had posted on your social media about how growing up playing golf that you always used to like pretend that that last putt falling in was like the putt to win the green jacket.
yeah.
So I want to ask you the question that we ask all of our guests on the show, which is what makes the Masters or in Augusta a quote unquote tradition unlike any other for you?
I mean, I think the simple answer is it's the only major that's played at the same place every single year. So there is some like familiarity with the people watching. Um, I mean, like, I don't know, like, how lost in the weeds you want to get about like the history of golf, but like, I'm a huge like golf historian guy. So like,
Yeah.
the Bobby Jones of it all is very, very cool. He arguably was the greatest golfer to ever play, and he kept his amateur status, which is very, very cool. And like during that time, being a professional golfer was kind of like looked down upon. So like he would like kind of play for the prestige of the game, not for the money, which is
Mhm.
very, very cool. And he ended up being a lawyer and like a politician and stuff. And like the things that he did for the Augusta area is insane. But like he like hung it up really, really young. And I mean, we all kind of marvel at the numbers that like Tiger and Jack did, but like Bobby Jones was if he was a pro, he would have destroyed all those records.
Mhm.
And it probably wouldn't have been close. So just that, like this guy who did so much for the game so early on, and then like just played for the love of it, and then created this course because he loved golf so much, and wanted to like have the best place, the best tournament every year, and have the masters of the game come there. I think is very, very cool. And then also getting Alistair McKenzie to design it, a guy who
Mhm.
designed Cypress and oh, what's the place up in Santa Cruz? Anyways, he designed so many amazing golf courses, but like, I don't know, probably arguably one of the best golf course designers, other than maybe like old Tom Morris. Um, all of that like piled into the history of it all. And then personally for me, like, obviously, yes, it is the first major of the year. And I just have like memories of like my dad and I just watching the tournament,
Mhm.
and it was like a big part of growing up and having a love for the game. And so yeah, it's like a lot of different things. I mean, like easily for me, uh it's like it's remembering watching it with my father. Like
Mhm.
that's and then true, like yeah, like when I would go out, because when I would go play Old El Monte as twilight was like coming down, I would always be like, this putt's for to win the Masters,
Yeah.
or to win the U.S. Open at Pebble. Like, those are the
Yeah.
two. Those are the two that I consider, and then like I guess the Open at
St. Andrews.
yeah, at the old course.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, but I had never been. I didn't know if I was ever going to get to go to the Masters. Like it's so hard to get tickets, and like it's kind of just every year we put in for the lottery, just like hoping,
Yeah.
and then getting to go like was a really, really weird experience. We went and it was raining that first day, and I was like, me and my wife, I was like, we're going down to Amen Corner. And we go down and I just start crying. And my wife's like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Look
I
at
don't
this
think
place."
you're alone in that. You're
Yeah.
definitely not the first person to have cried over there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and also it's amazing. Like we can get into like all the minutia of it all, but like it's so well run. Like, so Sarah
Mhm.
and I go to Disneyland a lot. She's a Disney adult, but she's kind of turned me into a Disney adult. And I always marvel at like the logistics of how well oiled the machine of Disneyland is, or Disney
Yeah.
World. Like it's amazing. And then I did learn that like one of the really high up guys at Disney uh was a member at Augusta, and they
Mhm.
brought him in and they were like, okay, how do we streamline all of this stuff to be like Disney? And I remember like even the bathroom lines, like the the concessions, it's very Disney. Like
That
it
that go away green
yeah, go
color
away.
that Disney
Yeah.
has, like, yeah, that's very similar to the, like, Augusta green that they use
Yeah.
around their, like, trash cans and stuff too, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. And I just was in awe of how that many people could come to that piece of property and be able to seamlessly like walk around and do everything. Um it's like a engineering marvel to me. When that was like one of the
Mhm.
things I didn't think about that being a thing that I would think about when I got there. I was like, look at this place. Like this is so amazing that it's able to do this every year. And then also like I think the golf course is amazing, like beautiful. Uh
Mhm.
and obviously we've all heard the stuff of they dye the lakes black, and like they paint the grass green, like they like, yes, of course they make it look, they pipe in the bird chirping noises on the telecast, like all that kind of stuff. But it is like immaculate, like a beautiful, beautiful piece of property.
But think
um
about too, did you
yeah,
see a single squirrel while you were there?
I
Of
don't
all those trees, did you see a single critter, like, at all?
know. I don't think, I mean, I don't know if I wasn't looking, but yeah. Are they shooting squirrels out of the trees?
Well, I don't know that, but, like, you don't see them there. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you see squirrels on other courses, but, like, you don't see them there. And,
Yeah.
like, I mean, they even have, like, that detail down to, like, the the T. Like, it's unreal. I mean, you think about too the massive amount of people that are even just applying to the lottery, and compare that to the Taylor Swift Ticketmaster fiasco. Like,
Yeah.
how is the Masters figuring that out every year, and then Ticketmaster just isn't? I that was my biggest complaint when I was trying to get Eras Tour tickets, was like, can the Masters run the like
Yeah.
the Eras Tour situation, please? Even when it comes to the media situation, I know a lot of times, almost every PGA Tour tournament, it's people complain and say, "Why haven't they figured this out?" In the way that the Masters does their coverage too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's the top of the top, that's for sure. Um, Having gone and grown up, and gone to Pebble so often, which is an iconic course in and of itself, um, and also a bucket list course for so many other people.
Yeah.
Um, having like was What were your expectations kind of coming into Augusta? Like, you kind of live on Pebble, and that's already like such a bucket list, brand name, recognizable place, and somewhere that so many other people are like, "Oh, I really wish I could make it to Pebble one
Yeah.
day." And, what was your expectation coming into Augusta compared to, that?
Yeah. This might be blasphemy, but it's also coming from a biased opinion. Pebble is a more beautiful course than Augusta is.
That's fair. That's a fair
It's
opinion.
just it the coastline, like you can't beat it. Like I played Cypress too, which is
Mhm,
arguably I think that there's two private courses in this country, and it's Augusta and it's Cypress.
mhm,
And then it's everything else. I think Augusta's better than Cypress. Cypress has like basically four amazing holes, like right on the water. But I think Pebble is the better course. Just like you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 17, 18, where the whole time you're walking it, you're like, holy shit. Like, look
Mm-hmm.
at this, the surf, and like it's all in the water. It's beautiful. But that's such a like that the piece of property was it just that's the golf course is the piece of property. Like they didn't
Mm-hmm.
really change a whole lot. Whereas Augusta, what makes it amazing is one, like you hear the whole thing of like it's a lot hillier than you think it is, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like I play Sherwood and like Bel Air, like courses that are kind of up and down, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I got there and I was like, the elevation changes are insane.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the things that like I would say really blew me away about Augusta. The fairways were insanely wide. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I don't know how you miss a fairway here. Like that's so wide. But obviously, like Alistair McKenzie was like a genius at like um, fairways would run out, and like
Mm-hmm.
you would be in the fairway, and then you're off or whatever. And like the lines you have to take to be able to attack are obviously much harder. Uh, to stay in the fairway and stuff. But I remember thinking like I could be snap hooking the ball all over this yard and I would still be in it.
Mm-hmm.
But its defense is the greens are insane. Like they're all turtlebacks. The fact that
5 is, yeah.
yeah, the fact that you're able to have a ball stay on the green is bonkers to me. And that's something that you really can't see on TV. And it's all false fronts, all false backs. Like it's every lie is a tight lie. And so yeah, like it's a like I understand why like they had to tiger proof it because Tiger came in there and like the fairways are just so big. Like if you let that guy or even now any kind of like player of today who's hitting the ball, 340, all of a sudden you have like these really short shots and you need that for this course because you have to be hitting, wedges into these greens to be able to hold these greens. So yeah, I remember being like kind of blown away by the fairway size, but then the greens like really, really blew me away. And it was also really cool to see how golfers played that. Like we sat, my plan is that I wanted to go sit on 12 tee box at Amen Corner, and I wanted to watch everyone come in on 11, and then I wanted to watch everyone shot on 12. And I don't know if I saw a single birdie on 11. Those guys were like, I'm not even going for this green. I'm
Mm-hmm.
dumping it out right. I'm not messing with that water on the left, and I'm like Texas wedging my third shot up to the green, getting a par and getting the hell out of there. And then same with 12, like everyone was missing left for that pin position. And it was like, I'm not going for birdie here. I'm just trying to get my par and get the hell out of here, which was like us amateurs don't play golf that way. Like we play like, I'm going to go for the green. I'm
Right.
going to
Yeah.
aim for the pin.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys were like, I don't even fucking with the green. I am gonna dump it out here and get up and down and get on, and I'm gonna par the par. I'm gonna birdie the par fives, and so yeah, it was interesting to see like the gameplay that those guys have for that course, and that's why it's like even you can never miss a fairway and still be like, I'm not gonna try to go for this green. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite spots to sit is right next to that on 13
Yeah.
and watch them approach from 12 and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah. Up on that
um
hill,
yeah.
like tee box of 13.
Well, yeah, we'll sit there, but then also sometimes we'll go down to actually the green of 13
Oh,
and
okay.
actually watch like kind of in between, like almost fairway of 13 and then green of 13. Because you can actually see like them finish in the fairway of 13, finish on the green, and then you can also see the tee box of 14 as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is also happening on 13, depending on where that pin is, because you've got that little stream right in front of the green.
Mhm.
And depending on where the flag is, there's there's not a lot of people going for it. They don't want to go in that water, or they don't want to go behind into those bunkers. And it's very rarely do you have a lot of big, a lot of excitement over there.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see the strategy and like
Yeah.
why are they doing what they're doing. But it's also a good spot because right behind you in the like right behind those grandstands is 15 and to the right of you is 16.
Mhm.
So those are places where people are taking like their
Yeah.
risks. And so you can hear some roars, and because you're close enough you can kind of move over that direction pretty easily. So that's a nice little spot to kind of convene right there for sure.
Yeah. I liked going to 18 and T, like 18T, because it's like that shoot of like.
Mhm.
And I remember I was like, I want to go and look. We walked the entire course, but I was like, I want to go look and watch people hit balls on 18 because you see it on TV and you're like, I don't know how anybody gets us through this thing, you know?
Right, and isn't hitting someone over to the right
Yeah,
or yeah.
or just hitting the trees. Like,
Yeah.
it's so narrow. And what blew my mind was I went to the tee and I was like, wow, it is so narrow. Like, I don't know what I would do here because I hit a big draw. So I'll be like way on the left side of the tee box and like just trying to peel it. But what's like such an Alistair McKenzie thing is like, yes, it's so penal where you tee off, but then you get out to the fairway and it is so wide open.
Mhm.
And that's something that you can't see. You can't see that like you have so much room, both left and right there when you get through that shoot. Um, which I thought was I was like, wow, yeah, it's such a mind F sitting on that tee box. And I don't know if how much history of Alistair McKenzie you know about. But he was a British soldier, and his main thing was camouflage. He was like an expert in camouflage, and so he brought that into a lot of his course design. Is he wanted to camouflage things for people. Like the famous one at Cyprus is like I think it's on like maybe two. Uh, when you're walking, two is a par five, a big dogleg left. When you're walking up it, there's tons of bunkers all around the green, and when you get to three tee box, you look back, you can't see a single bunker, and it's the way he like camouflages it, and
Mhm.
it's a optical illusion, and it's so cool, and you can see it a lot in holes on Augusta where you're like, oh, he's hiding things like,
Mhm.
and
Like on
18's
18, you can't
18's a
see
great
them.
example of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
which is such a cool like weird idiosyncrasy of golf course design that like people don't think about, but I like nerd out on.
Yeah. Well, and that's something too that it's that kind of thing is another thing that's very hard to see unless you're there, because even on TV sometimes like just you can tell it's a hill that they're walking up on
Yeah.
18, but until you're there actually walking up that hill yourself, you're like you don't really see how daunting that hill is. And people can tell you all day long, but until you've had to like walk up it or have someone stand behind you and push you up it because
Yeah.
you're running out of energy, yeah, it's tough for sure. Um, yeah, I'm curious, of all of the holes on the course, which one, you talked about some of the like the greens and the turtleback greens and some of the false fronts, and um of all of the holes on the course, which one, having seen it on TV versus having seen it in person, was the one like had the most difference for you?
I think I was the most shocked about 11. And I don't know. I think it's because I was like, I haven't seen no one's made a birdie here. That blew my mind. And it doesn't seem like it should be a really hard hole. But it's just so, the brown, the green is just so shaved that everything's tight. That really kind of blew my mind. I do love 16 is the par three, right? With the
Over the water.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that hole because uh, it so much can happen there. Like, you know, when you're coming down I love the idea of like there's a lot of calamity that can happen at the end.
Hmm.
Like, so the players was, you know, obviously 17 at the players is that hole, you know,
Right.
and same thing with 16. Like, either you birdie it and that's huge, or like you put it in the water
Right.
and
You
you
pull
know,
what Wyndham Clark did on
yeah.
Saturday, and yeah, yeah.
So I like that. I really like one. Like, I don't know why. It's a fun hole for me. Like, it's a big downhill. It's so much more downhill of a shot than like you
Mhm.
think it is. And then a big uphill shot. And I imagine the anxiety that's got to be like, maybe except for the Ryder Cup, that's got to be the most like anxiety ridden golf shot that like anybody hits all year.
Just because it's
Um,
just such that big open fairway and it's
yeah.
downhill, and yeah,
And that crowd is huge there on
yeah,
one, you
yeah.
know? Like, you know, at Genesis, you have a similar thing, but there's not, you can't fit as many people there at Riviera on one tee box, you know? So it's just not as it's not as scary. And that's why I say like the Ryder Cup is that one, because it's so many people there in that bowl.
Mhm.
And that was, I remember thinking that I was like, there's so many people here watching one tee box. I just thought that that was, you could like feel the tension for everybody, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is freaking beautiful. I'm trying to think of like the other holes that I really, really loved. What we did was, so on Saturday, like I said, we went to Amen Corner, and Saturday was the day that it rained, and we sat there with ponchos on and got absolutely hammered and drank so much. And it was funny because then the next day was like a bluebird, beautiful day, and we were walking around with, you know, we were just, I was like, let's just walk the course and check it out. And, you know, after like Sarah and I do this thing, like when we go to dinner, it's like, all right, the best thing, the worst thing, like whatever, you know, like, what would you order again? And we do
Mhm.
that with trips too. And I was like, all right, well, you know, like what was your favorite part? And we both said sitting in the rain on 12 tee box drunk was so much more fun than like the beautiful day, because
Then
everyone
walking
was
around.
like, yeah, and all like the locals that you meet there are always like, well, you know, I'm so sorry the weather's bad today, and like if that was the only day you got to go, that kind of sucks. Like I feel bad, like I understand what they're saying, but I was like, no, hell no, this was the most fun we had.
Yeah.
Like, the weather was bad, so the course was playing tough, but then also softer. Like, and you know, we weren't cold. We sat there with ponchos. We got absolutely hammered. They stopped play for a while, and we were like, you know, no one has a phone, so you're like, what do we do? Where do we
Mhm.
go? And you know, we just like hung out by ourselves on 12. Anyway, that was more fun than the Sunday, which was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. There's only a few places that like I've like really felt like the ghosts of like
The golf
of
goes.
golf past. Cyprus is one of those places, like the locker room when you walk in, you're like, whoa, this is crazy. And that, and at Augusta, you feel like it's got a weird aura to it,
Mhm.
which is like really, really cool. And you might just, that might just me wanting that to be the case, but the history of that place is just so cool that like it's got to be real.
That's ironic that you say that, because I on another episode last season I shared this story, but my one of when I would used to ask my grandfather, who got to go for many years, you know, one of his favorite memories from going, and he, now granted, he saw all of Jack's wins. He saw all of Tiger's wins, and like you would
Wow.
think that would be one of them, you know. His the story he would always tell was of the time that he took my grandmother for the first time, and it was a pop-up rainstorm, and they didn't have any umbrellas, they didn't have any ponchos, and they went running underneath the scoreboard and like huddled together under the rain. And that was like, that's his favorite memory of his entire history of being at Augusta, was like this, like huddling together under the rain. And, um, just because the place itself made that memory for him. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't all of the victories, it wasn't all of the like, the magical moments or the fist pumping from Tiger or anything like that. It was just the place and the history,
Yeah.
so, which I thought was, incredible, and speaks to your story too. The fact that like just being there, the fact that you're on the course and in the place, and you know, yeah, I
Yeah.
think that.
The other thing that I wish, obviously, like my experience is a little more unique than most people because like people know who I am. They see me on TV, and they especially know who my wife is.
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things that I think is the coolest thing, and I wish more events did this, was taking your phone away.
Yep.
Uh, we were still greeted by people, and people were like, "Oh my god, like you're the girl from Modern Family. Oh my god, you're the guy from Bachelor in Paradise." Um, but the second you take someone's phone away, they have to actually have a conversation with you.
Yep.
And it was so lovely when we like go get a sandwich and a beer and we sitting there and someone would come up and you just have like meaningful conversations with people instead of like the thing of like, sometimes you feel like a little bit of a commodity to people. They're like, hey, can we get a picture? Okay. Can we get another
Mhm.
picture? Okay. And then they leave and you're like, I kind of feel used, Whereas at that place, you can't have your phone. And like it was really lovely to like have conversations with people. And like, there are these people who have like tickets for life, and they have all these crazy stories like your grandfather. And it was just so nice to actually sit there and like listen to all these like old tales of Augusta. And
Mhm.
that was one of our favorite things in the world. And it's also nice to like uh, take that that addiction away from you. Uh, and it's also really fun because then you hear roars,
Mhm.
and then it becomes like a word of mouth thing. Like, wait, what happened? Like, oh, Rory went in the water. And you're like, oh, we gotta run down there.
You're doing
It,
math with the tee times and
yeah,
going, okay, well, he teed off at this time, so he should be at this hole, but the roar was over there, so it's
yeah,
actually, wait, hold on, let's see if which person it actually is, and then you're watching the scoreboard to see which name flips and
mm-hmm,
who it actually is. And yeah, I remember the year that uh, Jordan Spieth blew it
yeah,
for his second win. We were sitting over on, I think we were actually sitting on, we might have been sitting on 13 that year, but there's a big scoreboard right behind you on that 13th green. And we heard this massive just groan. And we were like, oh no, what's
yeah,
happening? And then we saw the numbers flip for Jordan, and we just knew that he had gone in the water. Like
yeah,
we had no context. We didn't see it on our phones. But there's no other way that his numbers would have dropped that bad if he hadn't gone in the water. And then we had to wait till later to see that that's what actually happened. But, the same thing with when Tiger used to play, you could tell the difference between like Aurora because somebody just made an eagle or a birdie, and then Aurora because Tiger just did anything, and it was,
yeah,
you could tell the difference. And that is so cool to me. And like you said, I wish more places did that. And it's cool to also see pictures, and even on watching on TV, like when players are on the tee box, people are actually just standing behind them and watching them
yeah,
versus like all the phones up, videoing them, which I I get, I've done it too at a tournament, oh, let me get this picture of this person here because when am I going to see them again? But like it's also nice to see, everyone just enjoying the moment, I think that's nice, I guess. I don't know. So
yeah. I also like, and this is maybe a little bit of like the stuffy old like country club kid in me. Uh, but I like that there's no baba booies and like mashed potatoes. That
Mhm.
that that drives me insane. And anyone who does that, I hate you so much. Why do you think anyone wants to hear that? Like, you're that annoying kid in school that like won't shut up.
Remember
Like,
there was that one year they did not let people in who were wearing the Bud Light Dilly Dilly t-shirts. Like,
really?
they were not gonna, if they saw you in a shirt that said Dilly Dilly, they were kicking you out. So
Yeah. I saw someone get kicked out on, I think that's Saturday, who screamed something. And I was like, I didn't even know that there was like this rule of that. And I think he screamed something at Tiger, about Tiger or whatever. And they kicked him out. Or maybe they had a stern talking to. I'm not really sure. But I love that, like, no one was yelling out stupid stuff. I don't know why that bugs me so much. But like mashed potatoes or Baba Booey's, like, do you think that, like, are you going to go watch the telecast back and be like, that was me? I was the one who
yeah,
said that.
did you hear me? Did you hear me,
Yeah.
guys? That was me. Yeah.
I think it's just so dumb.
We've
So
also seen
I
people
love
like,
that they're like, you can't do that there. Like, we'll kick
yeah.
you out if you do that. I'm like, yes, more like the waste management, you can
Yeah.
do it there, but everywhere else has some respect. This is golf. It's different than like a football game.
Yeah. And we've also seen people like, we've been walking into the gate before and seen people that they've been making like take off their like head to toe Tiger onesies.
Yeah.
Because that's, like you said, waste management, Ryder Cup, maybe even like the players, like those kind of thing. Like, it's fine there.
Yeah.
But like Augusta is a different environment, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of like you on that. You know, the Masters was my first ever golf tournament. And
Oh,
so
really?
yeah.
Jeez.
And so when I went to another golf tournament
It's
and I
all
saw people,
downhill from here.
I know, I know. When I went to another golf tournament, I saw people in like jeans. I was like, what is going
Yeah.
on? Like, what are you doing? You know, and I heard people like yelling things on the tee or just like had their phones out. I'm like, what? Like, I left my phone in the car going to another golf tournament because I just thought that that's what you did.
Yeah.
And so, but I think, not saying that every golf tournament should be that way. I think that there's a place for fun. I think there's a place for, I think the waste management got a little out of control this year, but
Yeah.
I think you're right though. Like Augusta, you know, let it be what it is, you know, like, and respect it for what it is. Like you said, there's history there, you know, and or not, if not, the golf ghosts are gonna get
Judging
you.
you.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna judge you. Yeah, for sure. You
Well,
did mention too, sitting over there and drinking all day
yeah.
too. I wanted to ask your opinion. Having it been your first time there, how was the concession aspects? You know, that's one of the biggest things that people talk about.
Yeah, well, I kind of touched on it earlier about like the smoothness of which everything runs. Like, I was always amazed. Like, I was like, damn, the line's long, and we got through it so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like, also obviously with the advent of like you just like touch your credit card to things and it does
Mm-hmm.
it, like makes it so easy. But yeah, I think I loved it. I thought it was. I wish that more tournaments could do that. But obviously tournaments want to make money, and I think that's the great thing about Augusta is it's a private club, so they can say like, "F you, this is how we're doing it," and we don't really
Right.
keep like you don't get to tell us how to run our tournament, and
We're not going to
uh,
charge $17
yeah,
for a hamburger. Like, no.
yeah, and like also there are, whatever, $2 pimento cheese sandwiches, there's like a barbecue one, and but also like it is a $2 sandwich. Like it isn't the best sandwich you've ever had in your
Right.
entire life.
It's a $2 sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it should be $2.
Uh-huh.
I wholeheartedly stand by that. Like it's
Right.
priced correctly.
Yeah.
um and the there's really, I think there's only like two options of beer and like a couple options of wine. That's really it. Like I was like, "Ah, you guys, I want a seltzer, like I want like a White
Mhm.
Claw." I was like, no, I'm drinking beer.
They
Uh,
just recently, like in the past 2 years, started adding the wine option,
yeah.
like the white wine option. Like it
I think
used to
that's
just
smart,
be beer.
especially for the ladies that go out there, because let's be fair, like a lot of women don't want to drink beer, which I totally understand. I don't either, kind of all day long. But like the white wine for my wife was mwah, chef's kiss. Like she like loves going to golf tournaments. I have fooled her into loving this thing. But like I think you do need to have like a little bit of white wine for the ladies who are like, I'm with my husband. I'm sick of we're walking around. We walked 7 miles today. But yeah, the concessions are bonkers. And I had more opinions about like the food, but now I forget. Like I had the pimento cheese sandwich. I think I liked the chicken salad the best. The chicken salad sandwich, and then the barbecue sandwich was pretty good too, as I
Yep.
recall.
Yep.
I'm not a pimento guy. I went to school in the South. I went to school at Ole Miss, and I remember there was always pimento cheese sandwiches in the Grove at Ole Miss, and I hated them. And so nothing's changed for
If
me.
you don't like pimento cheese, you are
Yeah,
definitely not. I've said this before. You're definitely not going to like Augusta's because they put it on there. Like they don't like shorten it at all. There's a lot on
yeah. I
that.
mean, don't get me wrong. It's not bad. But I think that once we tried everything. And then I think at the end, Sarah was like barbecue chicken, and I was chicken salad sandwich. That's where we were like, these are ours. This is what we like here.
Did they still have the ice cream sandwiches
Yes.
by the time y'all were there? Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes by the weekend they are not gone.
And that was funny. I think on Saturday they didn't have it. And we were being told about this ice cream sandwich, and we're like, okay. And then on Sunday we had it, and we were like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
And also what I like about the concessions is like they have all these like little kind of like tabletops afterwards to go and sit, and you have to become social with everybody because you can't, like, unless you have a big group, like you have to be like, hey, can we also eat here?
Mm-hmm.
And so then it becomes very communal, and you're like, where are you going? Oh yeah, okay, that's a good idea. I'm gonna go over, we're gonna go over here. What do you think about that? And then all of a sudden you're like having this like game plan with people that you never met. And like I remember the times when someone was like, we're gonna go do this, and we were like, that's a good idea, like, can we roll with you? And they're like, hell yeah, let's go. And you like make new friends. And yeah, it's a cool, the no phones thing is, it makes it like, I realize that like it's tough because you can't get in contact with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. But I feel like at least for the majors, I think you should take your phones away. Like I wholeheartedly think that would make the experience for everyone a lot better. I remember the U.S. Open in 2000. Like being able to bring your phone into a golf tournament's a relatively new thing because phones were loud, and obviously that would mess up people's swing. And I remember that when the 2000 U.S. Open was at Pebble, I remember it was still in the era of flip phones, but we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't bring them in. I remember that
Yeah.
distinctly. And I remember,
Yeah.
I think I snuck one in, and it was a risk because if they found it, they would just take it from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should go back to that.
Yeah. I mean, I love it too. I mean, like you said, it's hard. Like if you're meeting someone there, it's like you just kind of have to say, all right, let's synchronize our watches and
Yeah, but it's also not though. That happened to us. Like the Joe Bros were there, and so we were like, okay. Actually, Nick had if I ever went back, I would do this. Nick had his Apple Watch, but that has like
the cellular.
yeah. So when we ran into him, he's like, "Do you have your Apple Watch? I can just message you from here." And I was like, "No, shit, that's a good idea." But it wasn't a tough thing. It would be like, "Hey, at noon in front of the scoreboard."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you're not here, sorry. We'll try to find you later, I guess.
Yep.
Like it
Yeah,
wasn't a hard thing to.
time increments. Like our
Yeah.
spot's the big tree in front of the clubhouse. Like,
Yeah.
because everybody knows like where that is, and yeah, yeah.
And
I mean, yeah,
also,
there are ways to do it. Clearly they did it before cell phones happened.
yeah.
So, I mean, how does it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm old enough. Like, I didn't get a cell phone until I was like a senior in high school. Like, we used to figure out a way to like meet up with people.
Right.
Like. Anyways, yeah. Now we're going into like a weird anti-cell phone rant.
Well, I know we got to let you go here soon, but before we do, I do want to do a quick like rapid fire in honor of your own podcast, your favorite things.
Yeah.
So I want to do your favorite things from the Masters, which you kind of just touched on one, the pimento cheese, or the what you said, the egg salad or chicken salad, the chicken
Yeah.
sandwich. Yeah. Um, well, okay, so do a favorite meat sandwich, the chicken or the barbecue?
Um, yeah, I'll go with barbecue. Yeah, so you're right. So there was an egg salad, and then it's like a chicken. Is there also like a club sandwich?
There
I'm just
is,
trying to
yeah. There's like a
remember
club
all.
sandwich,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
turkey, I think, and then I know there's a ham and cheese on rye because that's my go-to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But there is a barbecue one, right?
Yes, yeah, there
Yeah,
is a
yeah, yeah.
barbecue one, yeah, because you can
Okay,
get that one in the Taste of the Masters kit that you can, like, order to your house. They
okay,
send the, pimento cheese, the egg salad, and the barbecue, and
okay.
that's part of the
Sorry,
kit.
when I was saying the chicken salad, I meant the egg salad. That was my favorite. But for the meat one, I'm gonna say the
Barbecue.
barbecue sandwich. Yeah.
Favorite, we kind of touched on this briefly, but favorite hole at Augusta?
Um, 16, I think.
16.
Yeah.
A favorite, well, or biggest might be a better word to say it, heartbreak you've ever seen at Augusta?
Uh, well, from the one that I went to, I'll answer for my wife. Last year, Sarah's favorite golfer is Rory McIlroy, and he missed the cut, and
Oh,
she was
no.
heartbroken because she so desperately wanted to watch him, and we only had Saturday, Sunday, so she didn't get to see him, and she
Oh,
was like,
no.
"No," she was like legit not happy about that whole thing. Um, there's been a lot. I try not to like think of like it's so sad
It is, yeah,
when
there's
like
some that are
the breakdowns that you watch and you're just like, oh man, that sucks. Uh, I like Spieth, and I didn't like that year that he kind of shit the bed.
mhm.
What hole is it? 12, where Jack was always like, you just go for the center of the green. That par three. Is it 12?
Mm,
There's a bunker in the front. It's over water.
12
Uh,
is over water,
yeah,
yeah.
but I don't think it's that. Anyways, cut all that. Yeah, I don't trying to remember like the breakdowns. That makes me sad. And also gives me like such like anxiety when you see it happening. You're like, oh
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, I know,
he's
I
shitting the
know.
bed. Like oh god, the PGA that JT like came back and won.
Oh, yeah, Mito.
Mito
Mhm.
just hit 7 iron,
And then for
putter
JT
putter.
on that episode of Full Swing
I
to thank
know.
him, to, like, toast him, that was kinda ballsy, actually, but
Yeah, he went to
yeah.
live though, so I'm sure he's like, screw you, dude.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Favorite, non-2019 Tiger winner that you've been alive to see? I gotta say the non like, because everybody's gonna say that
Yeah,
2019
yeah. I don't
Tiger,
even know if I
like
would say that one. Um, can I cheat and look at
yeah.
some
Yeah, you can cheat. Because I mean,
Masters
there's so
winner?
many, like,
Well, the one that Jack won when he was like what 46 or 49 or something. Like obviously, I don't even know if I was around for that, but like
the one
I
in,
know.
'86?
Yeah, yes, I
Yeah.
was two then. Okay, let me go through this. No, 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 no. I just want to list. Ah, list of Masters winners.
I think the Tiger one's obviously an easy one to go to because it just
Well, the 97 Tiger one was cool. I very much was like watching. Uh, I remember that one with like, I don't know. I assume it was Jim Nance, where he's like at 5:35 on a Friday afternoon, Tiger Woods has the lead of the Masters. Like
mhm.
it was like a very iconic thing, and that was the year that like he shot a 40 on the front nine on Thursday, and you're like,
Yeah, he
I'm not.
won by, like, 12 strokes, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, then absolutely blew everyone away. And that's the
Mhm.
thing. Like I also remember the same thing of the U.S. Open at Pebble. I guess that was 99. I want to say when
That
he
wasn't the
just
year he had a broken
he
leg.
blew the field away. No, 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 no.
No, no,
It
no,
was
no,
the
no, it
what?
wasn't.
It was the one where he was like 14 under, and like no
Yep.
one else was under. It's like I remember that very, very vividly. But I want to look at this list. Oh, I loved. Okay, so this one's a weird one. I loved the Dustin Johnson going super low during that COVID year, like no one was there.
No one was there, but his score
Uh,
was ridiculous. Like,
yeah, he broke the score. Then they also played it in November. I remember it was like at a different time.
mhm.
But I that one was just unique. Um, I want to see. Yeah, Freddie Couples in '92 was a good one.
Mm,
Phil breaking through in 2004.
yep.
Uh,
That was the year.
and
That was his jump year, I think. That is now his logo, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah, where he got 2 inches off the ground.
Uh-huh.
And I hate that like a lot of these guys went to live, so I'm like, oh, screw you. But
I know.
not that it really matters. But I was a huge Bubba Watson fan, like still am. Like the way that he shaped the ball and like
I was
uh
I was in that pine straw and had to move
really,
for that shot out of the pine straw, and I will never forget. That's probably one of my top ones. Like, that was
yeah,
insane. I that shot was unbelievable.
yeah,
I that he even made it out of that. Like, it was incredible. That's up there
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I love Bubba Watson.
Although
Uh,
his champions dinner was terrible.
what did he have?
He had a Caesar salad and grilled chicken and confetti cake.
That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just saw John Rahm's menu, which looks pretty fire. We could, and so you know who's doing that dinner, right? Is Jose Andreas.
Mm-mm. I didn't.
So I don't know if you know who Jose Andreas is. He's this like amazing chef, but he also does like crazy philanthropic work with like feeding people who are like after the Turkey earthquake, he went and spent like $5 million just feeding everyone there. He's go look in Jose Andres, and so he's always like Sergio or John Rahm's caddy during the par three.
Mm.
Anyways, he did the menu for John Rahm's. I'm interested to see how it is because I think Hideki's is going to go down as the best meal that they've ever had
Yep.
there, which
Yep.
makes total sense. But I was watching the foreplay guys on TikTok, and they were talking about that they didn't know that you have to pay for that. The winner has to pay for that
Yeah,
meal.
which makes sense now. I think I said this the other day, but it makes a little more sense now why John Rahm's menu is what it is, because he's got like a little bit of that live money
Yeah,
kind of helping to
exactly.
support it, like that's and maybe why like Scotty's menu was what it was last year, considering he's more on the frugal side. Like, he's still driving his, what is it, 2012 GMC Yukon or something. Like, not that his menu was bad, it just was not.
He just seems like a meat and potatoes guy,
Yeah.
anyways. But it's not the menu that gets you, and I think that people forget that it's you can order whatever you want. So it is like the 1983 Rothschild or like the really old bottle of Silver Oak that's like $4,000 that like Phil is doing. Phil is doing that every time because he's like, screw you guys,
Mhm.
and
I'm
he's all
gonna.
really bougie. But
Yeah.
they were like, how do you bill for that? And I was thinking about it. When you win, you become an honorary member, which means they obviously have to set you up for dues and billing and everything because you're going to be bringing people on and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it's just on your bill. It's just an invoice for your dues membership.
Yeah,
And
it's not like they're at the end of the dinner, they're, like, sending you a check and you have to put your, like, your Amex down or something. Like, that's not how that's
no,
working. Like,
I'm a member at a nice club here. And what happens when you join a lot of like really nice clubs is you sign a thing that makes it so you never ever get presented a check. Like it's always this percentage of tip. Like you never sign anything. You just up and leave. I guarantee you it's like that at Augusta.
Yeah,
And I
it's the same
guarantee
as when you
you,
eat like at the hotel bar. It's like you send it to your room. Like you don't get sent no, but like you said, there's going to be people there who are like, oh, I can order the most expensive like drink on the menu because I can. Yes, please. But also those people are also members. So
yeah,
they
it's not,
would have also had to pay for a dinner at one point.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that is why Bubba did like we're just doing grilled chicken and a
Yeah.
Caesar salad because I know you guys are going to rack up the bill on the alcohol. Like, who knows?
Yeah, for sure. It's the Champions Dinner is such an interesting thing, and I wish that we could be in there and hear the stories. And I love that like people have seating arrangements, like Trevor Immelman always sits next to Adam Scott, like no matter what. And I love that. Like I'm sitting next to you, buddy. I think that's so cool, and what a joy to get to be in that little club.
Yep. And the year that they left like an open seat for Tiger when he couldn't make it after his wreck, like that made me tear up a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you again so much for joining us today. And I do hope that you are able to get back out to Augusta again very, very soon. What's coming up next for you? You said the Champions Tour tournament is in end of April.
Yeah, I got it right here. It's middle of April. It's called the Invited Celebrity Classic. It's in Dallas at Las Colinas. So that's, middle of April. I think like it starts maybe like the 18th or the 19th. And then I'm also doing, if you're up in Maine, I'm going to be doing a tournament called Drive for Kids. It's basically the same celebrities that are going to be doing the Invited Celebrity Classic are doing the Drive for Kids. And that's June 20th to the 23rd at Falmouth Country Club in Maine. And both of these things are like benefiting like amazing hospitals and stuff. And so it's all going to a really good cause. And the list of people that are playing these things, like obviously you have the pros, but then like Rondé Barber, Jerome Bettis, Roger Clemens, Marshall Falk, Patrick Dempsey, Marty Fish, Doug Flutie, Blair O'Neill, Sterling Sharp, like Taylor Twellman, Brian Urlacher. Like I should not be invited to this, but I think I like cover their like female quota. Like I can get a couple Bachelor Nation ladies to come into the gates, and they're like, all right, good. We got some ladies in these tournaments.
But you got Patrick Dempsey though, like
Yeah. I'm sure he also is doing some the Lord's work for the ladies out there. Yeah, it's also always so funny. And like we were at the night before the Oscars dinner, and we were hanging out with Kevin from The Office, Brian Bumgarner, I play with him. All these things we always play with him, and he's so funny. Like he's always got side money games going, and he's like the life of the party. And it is really fun. It's a really good opportunity for people who are fans of these people to like actually get up and close with them, because if you walk along with somebody, eventually they're gonna be like, you've been watching me for 3 holes. What's up? What's your name? It's a cool opportunity for fans of like these athletes to like actually take pictures and talk with them. So it's a cool thing.
Right. And profits from the ticket sales are going to a good cause too. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we will put some links out to both of those in the notes of the podcast episode on Spotify and Apple and on YouTube. And thank you again so much for being here. People can follow you on social media at Wells Adams. Yes.
Yep.
All the platforms. And we will see all of you again soon. Stay tuned for more from me at Nikki Dunnigan. And as always, we are posting updates on at Golf Unfiltered. And we will see you again next time.